A deeply unsettling discovery has revealed that human brain tissue contains a measurable amount of microplastics and nanoplastics, raising serious concerns about long-term health consequences. Recent findings indicate that an average person carries the equivalent of a spoonful of microplastics in their brain, with concentrations up to 5 times higher in individuals suffering from dementia. This revelation suggests a possible link between plastic exposure and neurodegenerative diseases, potentially marking one of the most significant environmental health crises of modern times. The accumulation of plastic particles in the brain is particularly alarming because it has escalated dramatically over the past 8 years, mirroring the rapid increase in global plastic pollution. These microscopic pollutants originate from the breakdown of larger plastics and have permeated nearly every part of the planet, from the depths of the ocean to the highest mountain peaks. Now, evidence confirms that they have also breached the human brain, a discovery that raises urgent questions about their long-term effects on cognition and neurological health. The most concerning aspect of this contamination is the presence of nanoplastics, particles smaller than 200 nanometers. Due to their size, they can cross the blood-brain barrier, a natural defense that typically prevents harmful substances from entering the brain. Once inside, these plastic particles could interfere with neural function, potentially triggering inflammation, oxidative stress, and even accelerating the progression of degenerative conditions such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Researchers analyzing brain tissue samples from autopsies have found plastic polymer deposits concentrated in the frontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making, memory, and reasoning. The presence of polyethylene, the same plastic commonly used in packaging and disposable containers, suggests that everyday plastic exposure is not just an environmental issue, but a direct and pervasive threat to human health. Unlike other organs, such as the liver or kidneys, which have detoxification mechanisms, the brain lacks an efficient system to remove foreign particles. This means that once microplastics infiltrate the brain, they may accumulate indefinitely, leading to chronic exposure effects that remain largely unknown. Scientists are now questioning whether these particles could play a role in the rising prevalence of neurological disorders. With dementia rates soaring worldwide, this study adds another layer of concern about the impact of environmental toxins on brain function. Reducing exposure to microplastics may seem like an impossible task given their widespread presence in air, water, and food. However, researchers emphasize that certain lifestyle changes could significantly decrease intake. Switching from bottled water to filtered tap water alone can reduce annual microplastic consumption by nearly 90%. Heating food in plastic containers, especially in microwaves, should be avoided, as this process releases millions of plastic particles directly into food. Similarly, plastic tea bags can shed substantial amounts of microplastics when steeped in hot water, making traditional loose-leaf tea a safer alternative. While these small changes can limit further exposure, there is currently no clear evidence that reducing intake will reverse existing plastic accumulation in human tissues. Beyond individual precautions, the issue requires urgent global action. Researchers are calling for stricter regulations on plastic production, clear exposure limits, and further studies to assess the long-term consequences of microplastic buildup in the body. Without intervention, this emerging crisis could escalate into a severe public health emergency, with millions unknowingly at risk of developing neurodegenerative conditions linked to plastic contamination. Scientists are also investigating whether the human body has any natural mechanisms to expel these particles, with early findings suggesting that sweating may play a minor role in microplastic elimination. However, no definitive solution exists to counteract decades of exposure, leaving individuals vulnerable to the unknown risks of accumulated plastic waste in their brains. The discovery of microplastics in brain tissue is a stark reminder of the hidden dangers of plastic pollution. Unlike visible environmental damage caused by plastic waste, this internal contamination is invisible, silent, and potentially irreversible. The possibility that everyday plastic exposure could be contributing to the rising global dementia crisis underscores the urgent need for further research and immediate action. If these findings hold true, humanity may be facing a neurological health crisis of unprecedented scale, one caused not by genetics or aging alone, but by the very materials designed for convenience in modern life.